Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there, better than me. Coming on here after the Panthers just went down 0-2 to the Toronto Maple Leafs after a very sloppy game one. The Panthers were chasing themselves, basically got down early. Had all the controversy that, but with the Sam Bennett thing, with, Stolarz, our boy, getting hurt, taking the puck off the dome. People wanted Sam Bennett taken away in handcuffs. And, I was hoping for a much more inspired performance tonight from the Cats. And not really the case. Not really the case. The Panthers now fall down 0-2. They lose tonight 4-3 after equalizing it. They tie it up at 3 apiece. And then mere seconds later, Mitch Marner puts them right back on top. A blaster past Bob. And, Panthers find this Panthers incarnation finds themselves in a place they have not been often, which is having to dig themselves out of a hole. Really, if you want to talk about the iteration of this Panthers team, which goes back under the Paul Maurice era, this is only the second time that they've had to come down from a 2-game hole. They had to do that, of course, coming down the start of all this, coming down 3-1 all the way back to beat the Boston Bruins. And now they're in a tough spot. They're basically in a must-win scenario coming up on Friday in their barn against the Maple Leafs. But look, I still have faith in them. But I will say, Toronto impressed today. I felt like, the Panthers, this is the thing that was disappointing and different about the last game. The Panthers started the scoring, got on the power play. Their penalty kill continued to be excellent, but they play with fire a little bit too much, and eventually it would even up. And then Brad Marchand comes out like a bat out of hell. That finish line with Marchand sprinkled in, honorary Finn, comes through yet again, and he's able to put the Cats up 2-1, and the Cats aren't able to sustain that. And then Max Domi, sick goal, sick assist from our boy, former Cat Steven Lorentz, great eyes, and puts them up 3-2, and you're feeling to yourself, it's just like, it doesn't feel like they're off, and it's funny because it's like you look at the shots and you're like, well, the Cats, the Cats are getting more shots, it feels like, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a Cats game where they have control. I just thought that Toronto, really played out physical the Cats. I don't know if all of the penalties and it finally biting the Panthers in the ass. I don't know if it finally got to a point because the refs were horrific tonight. They literally called an embellishment call on Evan Rodriguez for getting thrown into the boards, and they're like, that's embellishment. I'm like, he looks like he can't stand. They're like, faker. I'm like, really? That's what we're doing here? But look, I still have faith. There are things that definitely concern you with this team. One, you have to, Sam Bennett was a ghost tonight. You have to wonder if all of the chaos around the last couple of days did get to him a little bit. Like, they're basically treating the guy like he's a villain. Like, it's great. Paul Maurice made it sound like you guys are basically bringing up stuff from when he was a child, parking tickets. I mean, and mind you, Sam Bennett's from Toronto. Like, you go to his Humane Society page, and they're like saying this is, revoke your Canadian citizenship. Don't claim Toronto. These are legitimately psychotic people. And I don't know. I just did not see a Sam Bennett have that same impact like he usually does tonight. So you're hopeful you get back in a little bit more of a cat-friendly environment. Maybe that'll set things right. Look, you got to they did what they're supposed to do. Nobody was able to steal home ice in this one. It's not a dire situation yet, but it is like they put up the stats. What is it? 86%. You go down 0-2, you lose. But this is a Panthers team that has been under some pretty extreme circumstances throughout their run under Paul Maurice. So I am not ready to give up yet. I am not ready to say that this thing is over. But there are things that are concerned. Matthew Tkachuk's health is another one of those where you're just like, all right, because Matthew Tkachuk's a fascinating player, and he's had some fascinating runs with the Cats. His first run that I mentioned before he cracked his sternum, the dude was Mr. Clutch, came through everything. Not as much last year. Not as much last year. And then it felt like before this injury, like he was starting to get back to the guy that they first signed, and then he has the groin injury. And, you wonder how that is wearing on him, the grind of a playoff series, because I felt like he came out of this thing looking really, really fresh. But he's also, I don't want to make injury excuses for him either, because Tkachuk has this fascinating thing where like he can just go ice cold, feel like he doesn't make an impact, and then it'll be like 3 games in a row he's right there with those quick deflections and being in the right spot at the right time. Like, this is a little bit like how he plays. But I'll say for Toronto's sake, like, Toronto felt to me like the more physical team, the diving. I mean, some of the ways they were to pick up Woll at the end, and Woll had some 6 saves in his own right, Stone and Samoskevich. So, and you get Ekblad back tonight, so that's another, that when they first got him back the last game, it felt like a little bit of an adjustment to everybody. And then the next game obviously was huge. It ended up with the whole suspension with Hagel and whatnot. So truly settling in everybody into their roles now for the rest of this series, you'll hope. Like, I'm throwing out a lot of things that I think optimistic, and you also just have to think like the big guns are going to come through, like that Bennett's going to get right, that Reinhardt especially, who's who can always get crazy, Carter Verhaeghe, this such stuff, like those things are going to come through in these times when they get into friendly ice. But and then the numbers from Bob, anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Sergei Bobrovsky fan. I was reading from my guy tonight, David Dwork. Go follow him, the Hockey News and the Hockey Show. He says Bob allowed 4 goals on 20 shots on a night where he was expected goals against was 1.62. In game 1, he allowed 5 goals on 30 shots. His expected goals was against was just 3.19. Far from playoff Bob. And yeah, this is one of those things where, like, I think it's a mix. I think that, like, if we were to slice it up tonight, and I guess that's pretty much what he's saying, like, yeah, I think about 2 of them were on him and 2 of them weren't. The one that was blasted off the bar to make it 4-3, just like, I get it was an awkward thing off the wall. You're hopeful that he can get into a better spot. There was the one that was with Domi. I mean, that's a tough friggin' play. I mean, great setup by Lorentz, had the advantage. The first one off the power play, bounced off the crossbar, then is right there, open door for him. So I think from my perspective, yeah, Bob has not been he is not who he was in the last series so far. But man, look, Toronto's got a lot of firepower, dude. With Nylander and Domi, they got a ton of firepower. You don't even add into that with Austin Matthews not really doing anything yet in this series. So I don't know, man. This is one of those where I think for the Cats, it is definitely. I don't want to use the term concerning, but it probably should be because it's 0-2. But I think that urgency needs to now obviously pick up because you go down 0-3. I mean, yeah, I guess it's happened in hockey. The Panthers were just in the Stanley Cup final last year where they were up 3-0 and nearly were on the wrong side of history. And, so they've seen it on the other side. The one thing I'll say about that, though, to go back to they haven't faced this scenario a lot, I don't know if there's any more pressure than what they would have faced in Game 7 last year to not only win the championship, but to not be on the wrong side of infamy. They get my trust. Like, they deserve it. They've earned it. Sergei Bobrovsky, Barkov, everybody here. And by the way, Marchand's been fantastic. You can't say too much about the newcomers. Seth Jones, needs to, I'm sure will welcome Aaron Ekblad coming in, should make him a little bit fresher throughout the rest of this series. But, hold on to your cheeks, man. Friday is going to be a crazy, crazy high-stakes game. But they do have a lot of things. I think that the Panthers need to find a way to play their style, but also not do dumb shit. And I think that that's been the I just felt like from a physicality standpoint from the Panthers, because they've gotten so many trips. Kulikov, dude, I don't know what you're doing. I felt like all of that stuff made them play a little less like them, And I'll give Toronto some credit because I thought Toronto also, brought it from a physicality standpoint. So the Panthers got to balance out that mix and get back in this series on Friday night. But I still think for the fan base, they deserve the trust because of what they've done in the past. We could put all the bull bleep of the Bennett hit behind us now and get back into more friendly confines. They won't be treated like convicts up there, and see if they can even this thing up and make this a series. But I still, today's game, you credit Toronto because they had a response for everything, but I do think that the Panthers getting back to when they get a lead, locking things up and getting back to that style, I've just seen them be too good at it every single time. And I think that Paul Maurice is going to probably rip in and be like, hey, you're going to go let a team like that go and outdo us. That's how it's going to do. So I trust Paul getting it right as well. All the controversy, it could just kind of be about hockey the next couple of games. And we'll see if that's good enough, because Toronto does. I mean, look, man, they were the division winners. These were some really hotly contested games. This was a hotly contested division all season long, and a very, very curious test, because now you have been in dire situations. You've been the underdog story. You've been the favorite and come through, and now you get here in a series beforehand where everybody was kind of like, you were fluky. We don't believe in this new version of you. You blow through the Tampa Bay Lightning like it's nothing. But now, you've gotten knocked to the canvas. You have to go back to your stool. You got saved by the bell, and now you got to come out and see if you can go. Start bringing up some rounds to go win this one on the scorecard. See if you can deliver your own powerful blows.